folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Best of Publishers, where I talk about publishers and tell you my favorite games from them. Today we're taking a look at Tasty Minstrel Games. Now, Tasty Minstrel Games is they're just a different company than everyone else. They're one of the few companies in America that works pretty hard on bringing over the heavier and middleweight Euro games from Europe. And in fact, when making their list, it's really kind of hard because it's like, well, that's not theirs, but they're the ones who brought it to America, so I'm counting it. They have done their own original work, and their original work is for the most part good. Now, incidentally, they use Kickstarter a lot. They were one of the first people to use Kickstarters, had some ups and downs as time went by. They write a blog. You can find more information about Tasty Minstrel Games as the company than pretty much any other company out there, and they're always looking to try and experiment new things. They did a pay-what-you-want Kickstarter one time. And one of the problems that Tasty Minstrel has had in the past is that their smaller games have traditionally, for me at least, not been that good. Their bigger games, especially their Euro games, especially the ones they bring over, are great. But like Dungeon Roll, which has done extremely well for them, is just a game I don't find appealing, but I know a lot of people like it. But many of their other smaller games, many times they would have a Kickstarter for a game, and then there would be a smaller game that would come with it, and that smaller game was usually not quite as good. But that has not diminished them. They try interesting things. Like I said, they did Jab, which is like a real-time boxing game. You don't actually hit your opponent, but you're playing cards with that. And there's just a lot of great games. So let's get into my favorite 10 games from Tasty Minstrel Games. Number 10 is one that they picked up from Japan, and that is Flip City. Now, Flip City is a deck-building game, except that the cards are two-sided. And in this game, you will buy cards, and you'll put them in your deck, and you will play them, but you can also pay to flip them. And usually the flip side was better or different or unusual. Sometimes they would flip back. Sometimes you flip a card and put it in someone else's deck. Now, there are multiple versions of Flip City. The newest one I don't like as much as the original, and there's also an expansion, but you can mix them all together, and you have a lot of different cards to pick from, but it's small. It's a tiny footprint, easy to get into, but very unique. That's Flip City. Number 9 is Oracle of Delphi. I believe this was originally Pegasus. This is a Stefan Feld game. I'm not usually a huge fan of his, although I really do like some of his games. But this one is a racing game, and you have to go around and do a bunch of different tasks. Each player has a bunch of tasks. They have to go around their ship and do these different tasks. And you're going to roll dice, and the dice are going to show different colors, and those are the actions you can take. But you can manipulate those dice. You can add cards to play, and do different things as you are using god powers and such, again, to be the most efficient, to go around and complete the missions that you need to get done. I found it quite entertaining. Number 8 is an original game from Tasty Minstrel, and I might argue it's the game that put Tasty Minstrel on the map. Now, they did some great original games. One that did miss my list was Belfort. That's a great worker placement game. But Eminent Domain was one of the early deck builders, except it really wasn't a deck builder. It came out at the same time Core Worlds came out. It came at the same time. It was close, not close, super close to Race for the Galaxy, but it was compared to those as you went out with this game and you played a card, and then everyone else would get to do something depending on what you did, and you're going exploring planets. And I know that there's 2 expansions for this. I haven't played either, but I heard they're both phenomenal, and that would probably raise it on my list. As it is, even with just having played the base game several times, I really do enjoy this. That was number 8. Number 7 is Steamworks. Now, I like engine building games where you try to get some kind of, machine running in the game. And in Steamworks, that's actually, you are literally building an engine in this game, and different steam engines and electric engines and things like that. And then you are activating them, and then they're going to run and connect and activate this and that and get points and do this and give me money. And you get people with special abilities and different kinds of powers, and it really is a cool game. I was a little, at first I was like, this game, it took a bit for it to get going, right? When I first played, I was like, I guess, is this going somewhere? Well, yes, it really is going somewhere. A lot of fun. That is Steamworks. Number 6 is Guilds of London. Now, this originally came from Surprise Stare Games in UK, but Guilds of London is a fairly hefty game in which you have different guilds on the table, and you are putting out different people trying to control area control, but each guild does different things, and you have different actions, and you're using cards. Probably a bit too much iconography in the game. You're going to be constantly looking at sheets to figure out what your cards do, but the iconography isn't that hard, and once you get going, it's pretty simple, and you're controlling this, and this might bleed over into the areas over here, and I'll send people over here, and I want to control this and get some points. I want to be second over here. This game has a ton of depth and variety in it. Highly recommend it. Guilds of London. Number 5 is Scoville. This is another original for Tasty Minstrel. Now, to be honest, I am partial to this game because it's about hot peppers. I mean, using the Scoville scale, which is used to measure how hot something is. Hint, Tabasco sauce is not quite so hot as you might think it might be. But I like this game for the theme, but I also like that the game itself. As you move around and you're planting different peppers, it has these little pepper wooden pieces which look really good on the map, and you're combining different colors together to get the ultimate, maybe the ghost chili pepper. Great theme, a thinky, interesting game, Scoville. Number 4 is Amun-Re. Now, they just reprinted this. This has been out of print for a long time, so I'm glad that Tasty Minstrel has brought this one back. Amun-Re is a game in which you are going to be building pyramids in ancient Egypt. And so over the course of the game, you're going to take different actions, and you're going to auction off different areas and then build things in your areas. But halfway through, everything is wiped, except the pyramids. The pyramids stay on the board. And then you auction for areas again. And now that area, which you were like, I don't care about it, now it might have 2 pyramids in it, and you might want that area. It's very interesting to me. And it also has a good flavor to it because there's a historical reason in it. You just jumped ahead a couple generations. Really cool game, Amun-Re. Number 3 is Yokohama. This one just came out from Tasty Minstrel a bit ago. This one has, when you look at it, it's almost an eyesore. There's just stuff everywhere. You can see us playing a live game of it if you want on this channel. But I enjoy it. As you go, it's a worker movement game as your workers will move to an area and then get to do different things in each of the areas that they go to, which is going to give them different resources that they need, turning in those resources for contracts to get points, getting technology. There's really just a wide open road of different things to do. Love this one, have it in my collection, Yokohama. Number 2 is Colosseum. Colosseum was just reprinted by them, just like Amun-Re. This one was a reprint of the beautiful production of Days of Wonder. Now, their new production, when I compared the two, yeah, the original is probably better from Days of Wonder, but you can't get that. And you don't want to miss out on this fantastic game. This game, Wolfgang Kramer made a game in which you are not fighting in a Coliseum, but you are putting on different shows, and you want the emperor and senators to come watch your show, and you want a lot of people to watch your show, and you want your show to be fantastic. And so you're auctioning, getting the parts for your show, and figuring out if you should expand your stadium. It's kind of a Euro-y game, right? But wow, do I really enjoy it. Colosseum. My favorite game currently, though, from Tasty Minstrel is another reprint of theirs that came from Europe, and that is Orleans. Now, they made a deluxe version of Orleans, which is amazing. Orleans is a pool-building game in which you have different workers, and you're going to be placing these workers to have different actions. But these workers are thrown into a bag, and so you'll get more workers and throw them in a bag, and maybe you're like, I want this kind of worker. Maybe I want this worker. They're wild. Or each of different workers gives you different benefits. There are 2 great expansions out for Orleans. One changes the game completely, making it a co-op game. The other adds just some cool variety. The second expansion, I'll never play it without the game. The first expansion with the co-op mode, I'll play that occasionally, and I thought it was really well done. Just the whole package is great. Every time I play it, I'm thinking, wow, this game is fantastic. And that's why it's my number 1. So those are my 10 favorite games from Tasty Minstrel Games. Tell me what your favorite games are in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been the Dice Tower, and you've been watching the best of Tasty Minstrel Games.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.